And I'm Chris Maryland, News Talk 820 WBAP, the dumbest tradition that we have in America, which was set up for, nobody can really identify exactly why we did it. And that is the daylight saving time, the time change that we go through. Because we decide at some point, you know what, we'd like to have more sunlight at night. And then we get to this time of year and we go, we should have more sunlight during the day. And so everybody's like, yeah, and we all change our clocks. And what that does is make us crazy, which is a technical term. I know Lee Richardson is a licensed professional counselor and founder of the Brain Performance Center. And it makes me crazy, Lee. That's been the diagnosis. Meryl, time change makes you crazy.
Well, actually, I think that's a pretty accurate diagnosis.
See? You're a professional and you agree with me. That's what I'm saying. What is it why, first of all, I know we do it to try to keep basically noon, the pinnacle of the sun closer to noon is kind of the reason that we do it. There's been a lot of arguments about farmers need more daylight or the military wants this or whatever, but it's really to try to keep the clock in line with the rising and setting of the sun. But what does it end up doing to the rest of us as we try to sync our own internal clocks or our days around the changing clock itself?
Well, we do have our own internal clock. It's our circadian rhythm. And that's if you take your thumbs put them on the top of your ears and let them touch in the middle, that's your sensory motor strip. That's where your circadian rhythm is set. That's your sleep cycle. So when we throw that off, that throws everything off. And some people are more sensitive than others. And I think those that have babies and young kids that don't have such conscious control, that flows through the whole family. We like the sunshine. I mean, the sunshine, that vitamin D that produces serotonin, that makes us happy. And we take that away, and our sleep gets all messed up, and we get a little crazy.
I get a little cranky, is what I get. I get cranky, and then I start sort of withdrawing. Is that normal? That I would start withdrawing if my circadian rhythms are off?
Well, I think we get a little sad when we start to feel down. And this time of year, there's a lot more going on than just the time changes. The holidays are coming. It's starting to get colder outside. We can't do as much as we used to outside. So there's a lot more that goes on that feeds into it. But whenever we feel like we've lost something that we had, it does make us a little sad.
So how much of this is just me trying to cope with the adjustment? How much of this is actually like the seasonal depression stuff?
Well, there's a good amount of research that does support seasonal affective disorder. And the people that do suffer from it, and I have worked with a good many of them, it is as real as can be. It's the effect that they feel in their body. It hits their energy. They're fatigued. They can't fall asleep. Well, if they can't fall asleep, then they can't stay asleep. And a lot of times, after having a disrupted night of sleep, you can't get up in the morning. You're so fatigued. So it impacts people in just about every aspect of their life if you're truly affected by it. And some people, doesn't bother at all.
Lee Richardson is a licensed professional counselor and founder of the Brain Performance Center. Lee, you made mention of people whose circadian rhythms are thrown off because they're dealing with other external factors, environmental factors, and maybe that has to do with a new child in the house. And I was just thinking of the frustration that especially young mothers feel, but of course it could be young fathers as well. And I get the same way. If I'm not getting sleep and I got to get up in the morning, I'm tired all day long, and there is nothing that will make me, I don't even know what the emotion is, frustrated, defeated, than trying to go to bed that night after I'm exhausted all day long and not being able to fall asleep or having to get up early the next day and just feeling like I feel hopeless at that point. So how do I make myself fall asleep when I need to fall asleep? Because that's one of the issues I have.
Well, one of the things that you can do, particularly with the daylight savings time, is, we've been seeing this coming, obviously, noticeably for the last 2 to 3 weeks. You can alter what time you go to bed. Change it by 10 or 15 minutes and do that 10 or 15 minutes a week. Then you're getting your body in the habit of falling asleep. The number one therapy for insomnia is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's because You've got to have a good sleep schedule. Do you do anything at night to wind yourself down? Or do you go to bed at the same time every night?
No. Yeah, no, I try to, but, listen, my schedule is just a little bit wonky for, just like you were talking about earlier. So it can come and go. I might be able to go to bed at 10 o'clock one night, and I can't go to bed until 1 o'clock the following night, because I've got other projects going on. So, yeah, it's all over the place. And then, the rest of the family wants to get up, the crack of dawn in the morning, and it makes me crazy. So, I mean, what should I lock them all in the basement? Is that kind of the solution?
Well, I don't know. They'd probably be pretty noisy down there anyway.
Oh, they're the worst. I can duct tape their mouths.
Now that's a thought. But what you could do, is really start to think about putting a sleep schedule in place. And it starts with when you have dinner. And then for me, I can take a hot bath 2 a.m. in the morning, 8:30 in the evening, and that's a signal to my body that it's bedtime. And that's my wind down. That starts to wind me down. Some people will take some time and they'll listen to music. Some people will take some time and go to prayer. Other people, and I don't recommend picking up the phone and going to social media because that blue light, that stimulates you. But find something. A lot of people will read. Find something that kind of calms you down. Try meditation. Practice some gratitude. There are all kinds of things, and gratitude is simple. It's what are the 3 things that I'm thankful for that happened today? Wow, I got this great email. I mean, they're not ever huge things, but little things. It's the little things that make our day really go well.
Is there a way to quiet our minds if we are reflecting back on what happened that day? I tend to get really anxious. So, let's say I get an email from the boss, and PDBC says, I thought you were late getting into the news at this particular time, and you need to get that right. I will fret about that all night long, and I know that the boss doesn't mean for me to fret about that, but I will. Is there a way that I can just stop being so nutty?
Absolutely. Next time that happens, I want you to close your eyes and just focus on your breath. And because when we're talking, we have to be taking 12 to 14 breaths a minute to get everything said. Everybody's optimal breath rate is between 4 and 7 breaths a minute. But it is hard to slow it down. But if you can focus on your breathing, you can slow that breath rate down, you'll slow your heart rate down. If you can get those two to dance together, your breath rate and your heart rate, that's a sign of wellness. So instead of going down the rabbit hole, wonder what they really meant with that email, just stop and focus on your breathing. Put your hand on your belly button and see if you can feel air get down there.
And I can fix my brain by just focusing on the rest of the body. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the brain and the body connection, you can't separate them.
Okay.
They're one.
Well, you can, but they outlawed that in France about 40 years ago. Lee Richardson, a licensed professional counselor, founder of the Brain Performance Center. Lee, I always love talking to you. I do feel smarter, and I feel like you give me some great tips that I can use going forwards. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate you. And enjoy the